Hi guys, Reviewz here, bringing you this review of Metal Gear. Metal Gear is considered to be the first stealth game and lays down the foundations for what we'd come to expect from the series. The game also introduces us to Solid Snake, an iconic character that will become synonymous with the word stealth. Well, I hope you enjoy this review of Metal Gear.
Metal Gear is an action-adventure stealth game originally released in 1987 by Konami for the SMX2 computer and later ported to a number of platforms, including the NES and the Commodore 64. Metal Gear is considered to be the first stealth game and revolves around an operative codenamed Solid Snake, a rookie member of the Special Forces group Foxhound, sent on his first mission to go on a solo infiltration to the state of Outer Haven to destroy a military weapon known as Metal Gear. The game is played from a top-down perspective, where the player must navigate Snake through various environments, avoiding guards and other enemy installations. If Snake is seen, alert mode is triggered, where Snake must escape from an enemy's field of vision in order to resume his mission. Being spotted is denoted by an exclamation mark over an enemy's head. If only a single exclamation mark appears, then the player can simply move to another screen to avoid being attacked. However, if two exclamation marks appear, then reinforcements will come from off-screen, and the only way for Snake to escape is to eliminate all incoming enemies or move to a different floor. Initially, the player starts the game unarmed, but soon gains access to a wide variety of firearms, starting with the Beretta 92F and moving up to more powerful weapons like the RPG-7 rocket launcher. Metal Gear features destructible environments such as hollow walls and electrified floors, which can be used to find shortcuts through your current area. Defeated guards can reveal rations to replenish your health and ammo for your weapons. As well as numerous enemy guards, Snake also has to deal with boss characters in the form of mercenaries who challenge the player. These bosses can be really tough, and with the stealth option taken away from you, you will have to dodge and get lucky landing hits in order to take them down. Fortunately, help is also at hand as Snake is able to contact a small team via radio, each who specialise in a specific subject, such as Snake's commanding officer, Big Boss, who provides information on weapons and items, and Diana, who is able to identify boss weak spots. Metal Gear consists of 3 buildings that Snake must infiltrate, each with multiple floors to explore. The player has to gather keycards to progress, and useful mission intel can be retrieved by rescuing hostages, with the player's rank increasing by 1 star for every 5 hostages that are rescued. Once the player reaches the maximum 4-star rank, they gain the maximum carrying capacity as well as maximum health. However, if any of the hostages are killed, then the player is demoted by 1 rank. I like the rank system as it gave the game an RPG element, which forces you to be strategic about your infiltration of the enemy base and the consequences if hostages die. The game's visuals are to be expected of consoles from the late 80s. Snake is well animated and each installation has a distinct look, even if most of the enemies, aside from the bosses, are just palette swaps of each other or are just the same sprites. The NES version does suffer the most graphically, as it simply wasn't as powerful as the original SMX2 computer, with parts of the game being completely redesigned, such as the game's opening, and the removal of the Metal Gear boss due to hardware limitations, leading to a situation where the title character was removed from the game. This was mainly down to the team responsible for the port only having 3 months development time. The game's sound and music conveys an ominous tone, which sets the pace for Snake's missions in true 8-bit style, with the usual grunts and yells from guards. Weapons do make similar sounds to each other with little differentiation, with the exception of the rocket launcher, which obviously has a much louder sound in comparison to the smaller firearms. Metal Gear was the first game designed by Hideo Kojima, the director of many later Metal Gear sequels. Metal Gear was intended to be an action game featuring military combat, but the MSX2's hardware limited the number of bullets and enemies that could be shown on screen, which hindered the combat aspect of the game. Instead, taking inspiration from the film The Great Escape, Kojima redesigned the game so the emphasis would be on avoiding enemy capture rather than action, resulting in a much more stealth-orientated approach. Metal Gear was first released in July 1987, with an English version released that same year. The translation between Japanese and English contained a number of errors, such as the misspelling of the word destroy, and most of the radio messages were either edited or removed entirely from the English version. The MSX2 version was never released in the US, but instead was replaced with an NES port released in 1988, and published by Konami's Ultra Games division, but without Kojima's involvement. Without wanting to judge the game by today's standards, I did find the ability to simply leave the screen to avoid enemies to be a little simplistic in terms of the stealth, but this was back in 1987 and people hadn't heard of stealth games before, so expectations weren't high. Aside from the high difficulty of games from this time, it was a pain to keep track of radio frequencies to contact your team, particularly when you needed to find a useful piece of info like a boss's weak spot. You would have to have made a note earlier of what that particular frequency was, which when you were in a jam is not an easy thing to do. Metal Gear was followed by 2 sequels, Snake's Revenge made specifically for the NES in 1990, and a direct sequel, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, released that same year, as well as the Metal Gear Solid series. Metal Gear was the first stealth game to be made, and I have to admire it for its ambition. It's not perfect, but there is a lot of fun to be had with Metal Gear, which paved the way for more modern stealth games today.
Well, that was my review on Metal Gear. If you liked what you saw, let me know by leaving a comment, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. Like me on Facebook, and thanks so much for watching. Until next time, peace out guys.